one of the fun things about CPAC is I get to meet face-to-face with some of my favorite guests that we talk to only via Skype. And one of our experts that we go to, especially on matters regarding China and North Korea, is Gordon Chang. Gordon, great to see you again.
Thank you so much, Ezra.
The president spoke today and he mentioned North Korea. Can you tell us what the news was of his new sanctions?
Yeah, the president announced the strictest sanctions. What they are, designations under previous sanctions of one individual, 27 entities, and 28 vessels. What the Trump administration is doing is slowly tightening the noose around the neck of the North Korean regime. Because if you can't have money, you're not going to launch missiles, you're not going to detonate nukes, and you're not going to engage in gift politics, which is Kim Jong-un, the ruler of North Korea, buying the loyalty of senior regime elements with Mercedes and Rolexes and all the rest of it. And right now, there's a certain amount of evidence showing that North Korea is running out of cash, and that's a good thing.
You and I have spoken about what you think is the only solution dramatic enough to make a change, and that is for America to put sanctions on Chinese financial entities that are supporting North Korea. You've referenced large Chinese banks. This doesn't look like it's going anywhere near that yet, though, is it?
No, it isn't. The important thing was what didn't happen today. What didn't happen was, for instance, a blockade on North Korea, a total embargo, which I think we need. And we also didn't have the sanctions on Chinese banks that, despite everything, have continued to launder money for the North Korean regime. You know, Trump talked about this in a tweet where he said that Beijing was caught red-handed. Since then, there have been no penalties imposed on the Chinese for blatantly violating UN rules and our rules as well. So we need to do that, and until we do that, we're not going to solve the North Korean crisis.
Last question. Today, Trump talked about the trade deficit with China, and he basically said we got to stop that. He said, I respect the president, but they're taking advantage. So it sounds like he's willing to take economic measures against China. So I guess with Donald Trump, he can never rule anything out because the dramatic, impossible, taboo policy option, he just goes ahead and does it, whether it's moving an embassy to Jerusalem or getting out of the global warming treaty in the UN. Sometimes Trump just one day decides he's going to do something and the world doesn't end. Do you think there's a chance he's going to do the dramatic medicine that you've just described?
I think that what he probably is going to do is there's a Section 301 investigation into China's theft of intellectual property.
Section 301, is that under
the Trade Act of 1974.
Got it.
And this is conducted by Robert Lighthizer, the U.S. Trade Representative. This investigation is going to conclude sometime this year in all probability. And when that comes back, we're probably going to see some pretty drastic penalties. Wow. Because the Chinese have been stealing somewhere between $300 and $600 billion of U.S. intellectual property each and every year. That can't continue, so there's going to have to be something done. If nothing is done, then the Republicans are going to be punished at the polls.
Isn't that interesting? And this is one of those crossover issues. I think that getting tough on China actually resonated with a lot of blue-collar voters and a lot of states that felt that their jobs went there. It's something for conservative foreign policy hawks and domestic workers, too.
It's for everybody. This is not a partisan issue because China threatens not just Republicans, it threatens Democrats, liberals and conservatives, every American, and matter of fact, every North American while we're at it, largely because Canada is also a victim of this.
Oh, for sure. I wish our Prime Minister was a little bit more on guard and a little bit more skeptical. I think he's still quite naive about China. Gordon Chang, it's great to talk to you again. I know you're so busy here. A lot of people want you for their selfies and to say hello, so we'll let you go back to your fans. Thanks for taking the time with us.
Thank you so much, Ezra. This is a blast.
Right on. Cheers. We're at CPAC. It's a giant conservative conference in Washington, D.C. I got to say, I've seen some Canadians here, though. Hey, if you want to see all our videos from CPAC, go to the rebel.media/rebelcpac.